looking at the word discrete, I know it's an unusual word for some, but I normally tell my learners, remember the D from discrete and the D from dots. So if the graph has a dot like B, you know that this is a discrete graph. So the next one is increasing. You notice the direction of the B is increasing, and it's a linear function. It is a straight line where the rate of change is constant. So you know that this is a linear function, and then our answer would be B. A continuous decreasing linear function. Continuous means the line is drawn continuously. If you notice in A, it's drawn continuously. Secondly, you notice it is a decreasing function, and linear function, the rate of change is constant, so you notice it is A as our answer. And indirect proportion. Now indirect proportion means when your x is increasing, your y is decreasing, or vice versa. So if you look at C, you notice that if this graph carries on, right, you find that my x is increasing, right? Okay, I'll just draw it like that. My x is increasing, right? But you notice the y is getting smaller, right? You notice the distance between the y is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So this is known as an inverse proportion, right? And the other way, vice versa, as the y is increasing, you notice the value of the x will get smaller and smaller as you look at it from the other side. So this is known as inverse proportion or that indirect proportion. Use the grid below on the same system of axes. Draw and label the graphs defined by y is equal to x plus 4, and we are given a series of x values, and y is equal to minus 2x plus 4, and we're given x is an element of real numbers. So there's two methods we could use here. The first thing I will do is I will use what is known as the table method. Right? Let's write down the equation for the first one. Now the table method is basically your x and y. Right? We just draw a table and we substitute the formulas or the numbers that we have given into the formulas. So we are given minus 1. For the x, we are given 0, we are given 1, and we are given 2. So all I'm doing is I'm going to substitute that minus 1 into the above equation where I see x. So my answer will be 3, will be 4, 5, and 6. So now what I've done is I've created coordinates that I must plot onto the Cartesian plane. Now that graph, the grid that shows there, is known as the Cartesian plane. So if I had to look at the x and the y values, if I had to write it down, my x and y value for the first one will be minus 1 and it will be 3. So for the purposes of this teaching, I'm going to just put a line instead of a dot where I'm going to be plotting the values. So we have minus 1 and 3. So let's go to minus 1 on the graph, minus 1, right, on the x line, and 3 on the y line. So I'm going to put a line, right? And then we have 0 and 4. So I go to 0 and then put a line, right? And then we have 1 and 5. 1 and 5. Remember, you just put a dot there, but for the purposes of this program, I'm going to just put a line so one of the commands doesn't come up. So 1 and 5. Then we have 2 and 6. So let's go to 2 and go all the way to 6, and we have 6 coming up there. So all I'm going to do now is join those lines and make sure that when I join those lines that I make sure I cross where the line cuts the line going up. Okay, draw the line going up and draw it coming down. I'm not using a ruler, so please bear in mind you will use a ruler and try to make it as neat as possible. Now it's important that you know that in the equation, the last number on the equation will tell you where about your graph will cut on the y line. Now if you look at our y line, we made sure our graph cut at the 4, so that means we are on the right track. Now for this type of graph, your graph must be a straight line. If your dots are going elsewhere, then your calculations and substitution is a bit incorrect, so you just need to double check on that. Then we come to the second part of it, where they asked us to draw another graph on the same Cartesian plane. So this graph is y is equal to minus 2x plus 4. Now I'm going to use what is known as the intercept method, right? Okay, intercept method. So all I'm going to do here is a simple way to do it. I'm going to create 2 points, and I'm just going to join those points and where they cut on the x line and the y line. So all I'm going to do is, for the first one, working out the x-intercept. When we work out the x-intercept, we say let y equals 0. See, x and y. So that's how you know it. X-intercept, let y equals 0. So all I'm going to do is take that formula, and where I see y, I'm going to make it into a 0. So 2x plus 4. And now it becomes an equation, which I'm going to solve for. So I'll bring the 2x onto this side. And I have 4, divide by 2, and you notice x is equal to 2. So now I have my coordinate which I've created. I have x value to be 2, and my y value, I said let y equals to 0. So I have the coordinate there. So that becomes my first coordinate. Now the next one, I'll say y-intercept, right, let x equals to 0. So let's work out this. X equal to 0 using the formula or the equation, should I say, y is equal to minus 2x plus 4. Where I see x, I'm going to make that 0. So minus 2 into 0 plus 4, and my answer will be plus 4. So now I've created 2 points. My x and y for this will be x is 0 and y is 4. Now you notice I've created 2 points for this particular graph. So it will be 2 and 0. So let's go to 2 and 0. So we have 2 on the x line and 0. So this is our line. I'm just going to put a line here, remember, 2 and 0. Right? And then we come to 0 and 4. Okay, that's as best I could, considering I'm not using a ruler. And this is basically how it looks. Now they asked us to label these graphs. So when you label, you come to y is equal to x plus 4. That's the first graph. And the second one is y is equal to minus 2x plus 4. Something to note here: when your x value is positive, your graph will lean towards this way, and when it is negative, it will lean towards this way. And you notice in our working out, our graphs lean in the correct direction, right? Positive is towards this direction and negative is towards this direction, and you notice that's exactly how it worked out.